All right, everybody. If you can hear me, say something in the comments. Pretty sure we're good to go here. Just got to hit one last button. You guys, this has been quite a strange 1 week. First off, I apologize for not being on top of seeing y'all more often. I don't have a good reason. Just life happens, and then after a while, you just you fall behind on this stuff. So I don't know what's going on right now on this. Why is Facebook? Well, anyway, you know what? I may just not do this. So anyhow, you guys, good morning, good evening, good afternoon. This is a special broadcast. It is not very often, as I told a friend today, that you have a chance to know that something very crazy is happening, that you may be living through history, but that time is right now. So, let's see here. Okay. And there, I don't know why that was all messed up. Guys, good afternoon, good evening again. This is Ryan. This is a special broadcast. This is largest bank failures are happening right now since 2008. As I told a friend earlier today, it's not very often that you know that you're living through a potentially historic time, but that time is definitely right now. Um, Before I get into all this, a couple disclosures as always. This is not financial advice. This is just commentary. Don't be dumb. Don't hold me accountable if you get emotional and do something crazy. Secondly, you can see, where is it? Right. Is it here? Yes, right there. I'm going to do a special call-in session today. So give me a call if you want to talk about this stuff, if you have questions, clarifications, any of that kind of stuff. I am really actually very excited to introduce that little feature today. So what in the heck is actually going on, you guys? Wow. Okay. So um, for all of our investment clients, firstly, very important, the reason we're doing this special broadcast today, I told you this morning, we are building more cash. Um, just like I've told many clients in person or on the phone, you, everything is speculative. Everything in the stock market, you're doing your best guess speculation. So every January, when we kind of set our sights on what is happening, where do we see things developing, you start to model, you build, and you own your portfolio. Last year when we did it, Ukraine and Russia were not even at war at that moment. Also, you guys, do me a favor, send a message, call me, let me know, comment down below if the audio is good and all that good stuff. That way I can know that you are getting good quality on your end. So back to what I was saying, 1 year ago when we did our portfolios, Ukraine and Russia weren't even fighting at that time. Obviously, that was a very material change that caused us to kind of shift and change our target for our investment goals and strategies. Same right now. We're only in March. It was just about 2 months ago that we did our annual rebalance. And if you had told me that three of the top 50 banks in the country would have gone insolvent in each of them in roughly 48 hours, and those three banks would have all happened within about 1 week of each other, I would have said, yeah, of course they will. But honestly, I wouldn't have thought that it was going to happen. And for those of you who I speak to very regularly, and we have a lot of intimate financial, stock market, economic conversations, what's happening right now is no surprise. No surprise at all. We have known this day was going to come, and don't listen to anyone. It's not over. Okay, this isn't over. You don't just have a couple of the biggest banks in the world, in the United States, go insolvent immediately, and then just everybody goes about their day as if nothing happened. We're going to go over what happened, how it could expand a little more. I'm going to do my best to make all of this layman for you guys. Let me double check something here. Let me just have a look. One moment, please. Okay, good. I'm just checking the comments, you guys. I just want to make sure that all of this stuff works properly. Okay, YouTube is up and going. Good. Facebook up and going. Good. And it looks like Twitter. Are you on Twitter? Let me just check Twitter and see if Twitter live stream is working. And if not, too bad, Twitter. You're gonna have to go. Nah, Twitter really changed their algorithm and how they do this kind of stuff, and I just need to get used to it and figure out how it works. So anyway, I'm just gonna close out Twitter there, and we'll do just YouTube and Facebook. No biggie. Okay, so again, disclosures. None of this is investment advice. This is just commentary. Secondly, this episode is brought to you by Derks Financial. If you guys need help with taxes, Your business needs much better bookkeeping, accounting, which I know it does. Or thirdly, if you want help with investment and investment strategies, call us. Okay, so let's get into what's going on here, you guys. So as you can see here, Biden reassures bank customers and says the failed firm's leaders are fine. Excuse me, fired. Oh, okay. Also, let's see here. Any minute, we have a very interesting conversation coming up on Fox Business. Carl Icahn, a very, very well known, very successful, in fact, one of the most successful investors, will be on Fox Business here in about 20 minutes. So if I get done here, I definitely want to listen to that with you. What else is really funny about today is CNBC and Fox Business and the rest, they never have these guys on who have been saying for years, hey, this is unsustainable, this is going to fail. But today, that's all they've had on is back to back to back. Those of you who know Kyle Bass, he was just on earlier. He's been very critical. Anyway, let's get back to what President Biden said. He did say this was a very, very honorable thing for him to say. I saw a headline that says, breaking, President Biden vows that the coming economic collapse will be the most inclusive and equitable in history. And thank you, because if we don't have a completely inclusive and equitable economic crash, then what are we really even doing? So obviously that's a joke, you guys. So let's start. How did we get here? Okay, how did we get here? How banks work? You got banks out there. They all have to provide interest. You know, 0.05 or whatever is what your savings account is getting. Well, in order to attract more customers, they have to pay interest. You wouldn't put your money at a bank that wasn't going to pay interest when you know that the bank just down the street does. Well, okay, no big deal. Interest rates have been stuck. Yeah, that's pretty clear, right? Interest rates have been stuck way low for a long, long time. And then you got this point to in the last 18 months, I guess, 12 months, whatever, where interest rates have been shooting up. Well, the moment leading up to that, the banks, they have to own assets that will pay them interest and return so that they in turn can pay you interest. Well, generally speaking, sensible bankers were buying mortgage backed securities and car loans and corporate bonds and all these things that prior to 2022 last year were paying 1%, 2%, maybe 3% on the risky end. They weren't paying very much at all. Okay, all's fine, right? Well, last year, interest rates went from zero essentially up to what, 5.5 right now? We're at roughly 5.5 right now. So, in an extremely short amount of time, the attractiveness of safe investments went from um, 1.5 to 5.5. Well, if you're a client of ours, I've been telling you guys we're buying U.S. Treasuries right now because they're paying risk-free 5% right now. So why wouldn't you? Well, the banks are having that problem because a lot of people like you and me and other average Joe Americans who can do a little bit of math have been taking their money out of their bank or other various places and buying things like short-term U.S. Treasuries that pay this. Well, what's happened is that the bank's balance sheet has all of a sudden been kind of here, and then well, boom, it's gone here. You mix that last year with, as I've shown you, I've shown many of investment clients as we've been doing annual reviews. Last year, are you seeing this? Last year, the bond market, that's the safe place for your money. And I can't even quite zoom out. I'll just do a 5 year. Okay, so right about here. Bond market, if you can see, down 28% last year. So the assets, the very safe backstopped assets that these banks had on their balance sheets, not only were they down 28%, but mix that with people pulling money out of the banks to take them to other places. Oh, and then you factor in that a lot of these investments these banks had made were like fixed. They were fixed investments, fixed for 5 year, fixed for 10 year. Okay, Ryan, what the hell does this all even mean? Well, what it means is that the balance sheet was getting so upside down that various banks have been now saying, "Hey, we need to sell our bonds, whatever, at a loss, or we need to sell company stock so we can raise cash." Um, and that's really what set this whole thing off last week. Was that first off, Silvergate. Now, Silvergate. How do we know that one? Yes, our Derks Financial investment clients, if you guys have been reading the things we send out, Silvergate has been the go-to bank for crypto. Everybody in crypto is at Silverbank, it seems. Silvergate, excuse me. And when the crypto market totally imploded last year, just like I've been warning all of our clients, I've been warning you, don't buy crypto right now. It's in a bad spot. I'm not saying don't buy it. I'm saying not yet, because the crypto sell-off is not done yet. In fact, what I put out that video just about 8 weeks ago, describing this exact event was about to happen, where crypto was imploding so much because there was so much fraud that it was bleeding into the normal banking sector. And here we are, just 8 short weeks later. For those of you that watched it, you can go to my YouTube page. It's right there. It says the crypto sell-off is not over. Okay, so now these banks start saying, okay, you guys, we need to raise money. We need to raise cash. We need to get a strong, healthy balance sheet. Well, immediately, people start doing a classic bank run. And why wouldn't you if you think your bank might not have enough money on hand? Um, so it comes to last week. Let's skip right ahead to the Silicon Valley Bank. Why is this one such a big deal? This one is such a big deal because it's not just your average regional bank. It's this is the go-to bank for Silicon Valley. All of the big startups are there. Uber is there. Airbnb is there. Etsy is there. You name it, they're there. It's almost on honest to goodness, it's almost a status symbol to have a bank account there at Silicon Valley if you are in the startup world. So now let's see here. I'm not going to play this video. Essentially, the CEO of Y Combinator, a very well-known startup uh, whatever. He says the depositors, if this doesn't get figured out, they're not going to survive weeks or months or even days, because you guys keep in mind the government only insures up to 250,000. Well, Etsy might have 100 million in the bank. What happens to that other 990, whatever million, what are all the millions, 99 million that they have? Poof, it goes away. And then immediately Etsy can't pay their staff, they can't pay the rent, they can't pay their lights, any of that. They go upside down immediately. And just so you have an idea of who is at Silicon Valley Bank: Airbnb, Coinbase, DoorDash, Dropbox, Fitbit, Pinterest, Robinhood, the stock trading app, Slack, Square, that's that little credit card thing you see at the store, Tesla, Twitter, Uber, many others. There were a lot of others. In fact, yeah, Etsy, but they're not on this list. Etsy is there. You guys know a lot of these places. Um, and so essentially, they said, "Hey, we're going under." And last Friday, the Fed, they just stepped in and said, "All right, freeze it. Nobody can do business. Freeze the stock. Nobody can mess with this until we can figure out what to do." So over the weekend, what happened? Well, it's pretty much exactly what you would expect to happen. And just let me pause for 1 minute. How many? We're about almost 15 minutes in. If you guys are just joining us, we are doing for a special little investors overview here of what is happening right now in the stock market, specifically with all the banks that you see. You guys, it is I've been saying, and I've been telling our clients for a long time, and on the various videos that I've been making in the past few weeks and months, this moment is coming, and it is not over. Today and this week, it's not over. So hold on just a minute. We'll get to all of that. Don't forget also, if you're just joining us, feel free to call in. Let's see. I think it's right. Nope, other way, Ryan. Right there. Feel free to call. Call in. Ask some questions. Give me some input if you have some ideas or if you've seen something that I haven't covered here. So let me just see. Okay, very good. Yep, the call in line is ready when you are. So quick summary here of what actually happened over this weekend. So Friday comes, stock market closes, banks close, all that good stuff. Did you guys see, by the way, all the lines building up outside of various bank branches at the Silicon Valley Bank last week? It seriously looked like those pictures you see from the 1930s crash. Um, but essentially, this is what the bailout is. And now keep in mind, they say it's not a bailout. We're going to use this other special insurance fund to make the depositors whole. And you guys, you know how the government works. They'll tell you 1 plus 1 doesn't equal 2, but 1 plus 3 minus 1, that's 2, and that's fine. It's a bailout. Silicon Valley Bank, they got bailed out. And They're setting a bad precedent here, just like in 2008, because, like I say, the stress on these banks is not over. It's not like Silicon Valley Bank made one bad investment. It's not like Silicon Valley Bank accidentally clicked a button at the wrong time and the bank, went insolvent. The bank on its balance sheet did what nearly every other major bank has been doing, but they just went upside down on it. And they were just the first. That's really the only big difference here with Silicon Valley versus the rest is they just happened to be the first ones to go under. So here's the summary of what happened. The bailout in four pieces. All depositors will have access to their money on Monday. So far, from what I can tell, that hadn't been a problem. Two, the Fed announces a new emergency bank funding program. Three, the Fed to make additional funding available to banks. And then four, the FDIC and the Fed are discussing the plan with President Joe Biden. And actually, let's have a look here. I have, believe it or not, we actually have private, very, let me show you this first. I have inside video of that meeting from the weekend. It's amazing. You're going to love it. Just watch this. So this morning, President Joe Biden, he comes out and he says, hey, the banking system is safe. You can have, quote, Americans can have confidence that the banking system is safe. We bailed out Silicon Valley. Everything is normal. Go back to work. Nothing to see here. In fact, you know what it really reminds me of? Gosh, it really reminds me of, let me type this in, Jaws, the beaches are open. You guys remember this one?
I'm pleased and happy to repeat the news that we have in fact caught and killed a large predator that supposedly injured some bathers. But as you see, it's a beautiful day, the beaches are open, and the people are having a wonderful time. Amity, as you know, means friendship.
Didn't you hear him? Didn't you hear the mayor? He said they caught the shark. The beaches are open. You guys, come on, get with it. The beaches are open. That is exactly what President Biden did this morning. Shoot, I just closed that article. Oh well. Joe Biden gets in front of the camera. He says, hey, you guys, no big deal. We caught the shark. The beaches are open. No, they're not. The beaches are not open because here is what happened this morning. This morning, after they bailed out all the banks over the weekend and made sure that everybody knows they're safe. Western Alliance down 75%. First Republic down 66%. Zion's down 44%. It got so bad. For those of you who don't know really well how the stock market works, if a stock goes up or down more than 10% in under 10 minutes, they will halt that stock. Okay? Let me see if I can pull this up. I don't think I'm not even going to be able to pull it up. I'll type in NAS, NASD. No, I'm not gonna waste your time as I try to click around and find stuff on here. But you can go to the NASDAQ, the stock exchange's website, and they will show you all of the halts. There have been over 100 halts today from stocks dropping so quickly. Over 30 different banks have been halted today because their prices were dropping so fast and so drastically. And so, like Western Alliance, for example, they drop 10, they get frozen for 10 minutes, and then they reopen, and they drop 10, and they get opened again for 10 minutes, and they boom. And this just, and again, you can see what's happening here. Banks across the country are freaking out. Now, if you notice something about these banks, this is not JP Morgan, this is not Wells Fargo. These are like bank number 15 through 100 right now. These are the not small dominoes, but the medium-sized dominoes that are tipping over right now. But those small ones, they will make their way up. Silicon Valley Bank was the 18th largest bank in the country. Now, back to what I said. I really want to show you this video I have. Excuse me. You guys, you have to promise you won't share this with anyone, but I have live leaked video for you right now from that meeting Sunday night between the Federal Reserve and the U.S. Treasury, how they were going to discuss what to do with Silicon Valley Bank. So check this out. This is unreal. This will blow your mind.
Bailout! The most prudent move is a bail.
Most prudent move is a bailout. All right, so okay, this is obviously a joke, but this was a really funny South Park episode from about 10 years ago. They were making fun of the Fed when the banks all crashed in 2008, and this is essentially how they decide how to figure this stuff out. No, they don't let banks just fail. They don't let business owners fail. They don't let people who take risk fail. But it's kind of funny. You can see the options here is telethon or tax the rich or Indian casinos, print money, nationalize, let fail, go to war, try again, or bail out. It's hilarious. And it is so true. Now, like I said, that's a joke. But what's not a joke is how these banks really are stressed. This is after the feds came out and tried to convince everybody that things were fine. Um, Not only that, but check out our little hometown heroes here, Commerce Bank and UMB. Commerce Bank is down 13% this year, um, down 12% since all this started blowing up. UMB is down 28% since all this started blowing up. So, our little local hometown hero banks are not immune to this situation either that's unfolding right now. This picture here, this was kind of alive as all of those stocks were being halted, and you can see the little timestamp, 8:37, right when the market opened, 8:38, 8:39, 8:40, 8:41, 8:42, 8:40. So you can just see this wave of collapses of stocks being halted from trading because there was such a drastic sell-off. Um, and like I say here, First Republic, that's the one that really, really got hit the hardest today. Now, right now, the ones getting hit the hardest are California banks, but again, just be patient. This will spread. Um, Now, let's see here. 327. Carl Icahn comes on. Let's have a look real quick. Carl Icahn ought to be on any minute. And, okay, he's not on yet, but like I said, he ought to be on any minute. I'm going to hit refresh here just to make sure. Okay, we haven't missed it yet. This Carl Icahn interview ought to be a good one, and it's supposed to be at 3:30. So let's hope we can get it. I hope I didn't misjudge the time zone change. So, if you were just joining us, my name is Ryan Dirks. I'm doing a live broadcast for clients and investors of Dirks Financial. We have made a large change this morning. We have built a large chunk of cash, larger than we already had, because of the news of all of the banks starting to go insolvent last week. We did our annual portfolio rebounds back in January, and given all of the information we had in January, we made the best decision we could. And as more information becomes available, such as three of perhaps 50 of the top 50 banks in the country all just went insolvent in 1 week in a massive bailout, we decided it's probably prudent to add more cash right now. Now, here is back to this. Oh, one last thing. Don't forget, right? Gosh, I keep getting it wrong, you guys. Right here is our phone number. Feel free to call in, text, call, ask any questions. Let me check the comments section real quick and see if we have any comments. And if we have any comments, I'll answer them real quick. So give me just 1 second here. And while I do that, I'm going to let you guys hear this in
Budget
just a second.
has roughly $5 trillion of tax hikes, and you've got wealth taxes and capital gains taxes and corporate taxes that would destroy innovation. I mean, his tax policy would you can have as many FDIC bailouts as you want, but those tax hikes will destroy innovation, absolutely destroy it.
Right. Right. And the road to socialism is paved with bailouts. Right. and one of the reasons why they want to do the bailouts instead of letting the private sector solve it is then they get to give money to people they like and not give money.
Okay, very good. So, I'm back here. All right, now I've got a couple things to kind of round this out, and we'll wrap this thing up here. This is so what we've done up until this point. First whole stage of this was kind of describe how did we get here? What actually caused this to happen? Well, a lot of it had to do with rates being stuck at zero for the last decade, and then all of a sudden jacking interest rates from zero up to 5.5 to 8 right now. Secondly, the crypto market imploded for clients and investors of Dirks Financial. You guys, if you read the 2023 future outlook that we put out to clients, you saw I wrote in depth about the crypto market is crashing. Keep your money out of it right now and wait and see how this bleeds into the overall financial sector because they are so intertwined right now that they're not actually missing it. So, Let's have a look here. I just got a text message that Carl Icahn is on Fox News. So you know what? Just a second. Maybe I'm on the. Maybe it's me. One second, everybody. Be patient with me. This is a homemade production here. I don't have a studio. Oh, here we
I
go.
can't figure that one out. So
Okay,
I'd like you to explain it to me.
Icahn.
I don't know who's paying it. How do they pay? How do they pay that? Hey, look, I'm not here to talk about that bank and what the government's doing to pull it out. Because there are a lot of people that can't afford the loss, and so the government is bailing them out. But then you got moral hazard, and you can't let companies think that when they screw up, it don't matter because the government's going to save you, because then you're going to get rampant inflation and the currency is going to go to hell. So you can't do this forever. You can't do it. In this situation, I'm certainly no expert with the Silver Isle, the Silicon Valley Bank, and
right.
I feel though that we have a problem. I go back to my aluminum example because that's a quintessential example, the poster boy of what's wrong with management today. They say, it's funny. They look at our board. They're like Cliff Valerio. They look at our board and say, "Wow, your guys don't know science enough. You guys don't understand it." And it's true. None of my three guys won the Nobel Prize, but neither did one of my three guys ever lose $50 billion of money that they were entrusted with.
You know money, Carl. You know money, and you know money in and money out. So keep us posted on the aluminum.
This is what we know. We don't know how to do gene sequencing. Okay. We're not saying we do. But we are saying that they made an acquisition. But I say, I've never even seen one. I mean, we don't have to go into it. That's as crazy as these guys did.
All right, we'll follow that. That's a whole separate drama building. But, Carl, in the meantime, thank you very much for your input on this. Okay. But you're quite right to bring up the issue of the accountability for management, whether it's a biotech concern or a bank. Okay, right now, a lot of questions being raised.
Good talking to you, Neil.
Carl Icahn. Same here, Carl. We'll have more right after this.
There you go. So this is like Carl Icahn. Also, if you don't know, Carl Icahn's like 80, so he sounds kind of like that old, the old grandpa who just kind of talks and talks over it. But if you couldn't hear so well, what he was saying was exactly what seems to be very sensible is, hey, you have two options here. Either you let these people take the hose and take a bath like they should when banks are making risky bets and not doing what they should be appropriately, or you just there's no risk anymore. There's no risk at all in life, and you print money and send it to all the banks. Now that is a very, very perfect transition to this the third part of this live stream. First part was how did we get here. Second part is what exactly is happening right now. Third part is what happens next. Okay, what's happening right now, as we just said, a few banks have essentially said we're literally insolvent. The value of everything on our books has dropped so greatly that we can't even pay our people. We can't even keep the lights on. Okay, so what happened is they got acquired by other banks. I believe HSBC just bought Silicon Valley Bank for $1. Watch this. Let me type this in. HSBC buys SVB $1. Yeah, right here, Washington Post. Silicon Valley Bank is, of course, they want me to pay anyway. So anyway, regardless, what happens next? Okay, what happens next? Well, a couple of things, because the White House has just told us that they are going to just print money and make this go away. You guys, if they actually do that, and if they actually do print money to make this go away, watch out. You thought that food at the grocery store was expensive right now. It's going to get more expensive. It's not just Silicon Valley Bank. Go back to this. What did I show you a second ago? Right here. Does this look like a healthy sector? Does Western Alliance look like a healthy company to you when their stock is down 76% in one day? This is why my clients who call and say, hey, I want to buy this, I want to buy that. I hate to sound like a broken record or a negative Nancy or whatever they say, but for the last few months, I've been telling everybody that calls, I'm not saying no, I'm just saying not yet. You guys, you know what I say, right? You're going to be able to buy that at a much better price here in a couple months. And this is exactly what I'm talking about. I think, in my opinion, that the Western Alliance at the First Republic, that these other banks here are going to be set up in a way that's going to be almost identical to Silicon Valley Bank. I think that you're going to see a couple of other banks here come out. Honestly, it could be this very week, even. It could be as soon as this week, coming up to say, hey, look, we got the same problem. We tried our hardest. We tried to make good, but we're insolvent as well. In fact, just this morning, it actually technically happened last night. Southern Bank of New York, isn't that it? Signature Bank of New York. They went insolvent on Sunday night, and this morning I had a huge put on those guys. You guys, I lost my money too. I should have printed. They should have let it drop 70% and then froze it after I closed my put. But regardless, what I think is going to start happening in the next couple weeks and months, now what Joe Biden is telling you is go back to work. Remember, the beaches are open. We caught the shark. The beaches are open. That's what they want you to think. But hey, you guys, look at this right here. This doesn't look like the beaches are open to me. This looks like there are a couple more sharks out there. I think what you're going to start seeing here, and again, my opinion, I could be wrong, and I would love it if I were wrong, but I don't think I am. You're going to see some other banks start saying, we've got the same problem, and they're going to go to the federal government and say, what do you want me to do? You bailed out the rest of those guys. What do you want us? And at that point, you're going to see one of two things happen. You're going to see the government either just literally print money to paper over every single bank out there, or you're going to see one bank actually be allowed to go under. And again, I could be wrong, but I think if you see one of these banks go under, you are going to see a stock market sell off massively. I could be wrong, and I hope I am, but I think the government will not do that. I don't think they're going to allow that to happen. I think they are instead going to go the easy route, which is what everybody wants. Just paper it over, print money, and make them all whole again. You guys, that's what I come back to say. If you thought food at the grocery store was expensive now, you haven't seen a thing. You're going to see, and this might not, it's not going to like, when they print all the money on day one, it's not like day 10, milk's going to be $10. This will probably take a couple of months to work out, but you're going to see gas prices trickling up massively. You're going to see grocery store prices, blah blah blah, home prices, all of it. In fact, you'll probably see this. You'll probably see the stock market start shooting up again as well, because of the amount of money being printed and thrown into the economy. However, and this is where the GameStop people have been right on point about all of this, is that you are going to see um, you'll see this this will be essentially inflation so strong, people might even call it hyperinflation, but inflation so strong that even more people than have already tapped out are going to tap out, and you'll see up, well, boom, straight down, and at that point, no amount of papering will be able to solve this. That could take 3, 6, 9 months, 12 months, but I don't think it's good. Now, this just happened today, and it goes right into what I was just describing. Breaking news: the U.S. system of Federal Home Loan Banks, a key source of cash for regional banks, is seeking to raise about 64 billion through the sale of short-term notes, according to Bloomberg. Additionally, the FDIC has said no losses for Silicon Valley will be borne by the taxpayer. And here's the top comment: breaking. The U.S. financial system is breaking. Yeah, that's not so. It's a very good point. Now I'm going to leave you guys with this. Let me check real quick. Hold on one second. I think one of you. Okay, let's have a look here. Oh, and you know what? Okay. So very good. We will go back. Okay, I'm gonna end the stream on this last little Twitter thread here. This I will make this as layman as I possibly can, although I cannot guarantee it's going to be layman at all. But this kind of explains the situation we find ourselves in right now and how this could easily play out in the next few months, and then compare this to kind of what was happening in 2008. So the guy says a lot of people weren't there in 2008 or otherwise forget or misremember, but the Fed caught a lot of heck for Bear Stearns because they guaranteed 30 billion of the worst pile of mortgage-backed security crap you could imagine in exchange for JP Morgan shares at $2 per share. The beast, the Bear Stearns Madison Avenue headquarter alone was worth more, which is again very similar situation that just happened this weekend. So JP Morgan was okay, and also back in 2008, Bear Stearns was an investment firm. It failed. JP Morgan acquired them. Okay, So JP Morgan was actually forced to raise their takeout to $10 a share just to try to ease the terrible optics of something that was so obviously favorable. Yes, Bear Stearns collapsed, and then JP Morgan had to pick up the piece, had to up the price. But Fed was still on the hook for up to 30 billion. By the time September rolled around, the Fed had taken so much crap over the JP Morgan Bear Stearns issue that this was part of the calculus in letting Lehman Brothers file bankruptcy and roll the dice. The Fed suddenly cared about moral hazard for all of about 48 hours, but suddenly it was, wait, what the heck is AIG? Moral of the story here, despite what has happened, this is Bear Stearns for regional small banks. The crappiest, most leveraged garbage bank always gets drilled first, but saved. But as I said in this weekend, there are others that are upside down on their own bank securities. Big regional top 10ish will be fine. Problem is, the public is only beginning to get hip to the fact that you can buy a money market fund easily for 4% no load, no fee. Why park money at a bank for 0% savings instead? And so balances will continue to shift from bank deposits to money markets until banks raise their rates. But since upside down banks can't afford to raise their rates, and now with the Fed facility, this new thing they created over the weekend, this new bailout fund, essentially, they can borrow against them without having to sell and take a mark. They can meet depositor outflows, but deposits will gradually drift over time to earn yield. At some point, a bank will fold that is not considered systemic or important, with the exception criteria. Imbalance holders who thought they were insured are forced to wait in line, and that will be your Lehman moment for a wave of small, mid sized bank blowouts, especially the X10 regionals that have less da da da, i.e., less collateral with which to tap. And yes, I'm using the acronym incorrectly on purpose. Blah, blah. Okay, so that last bit was a little bit confusing. But essentially, what this guy is saying, and I think he's very, very accurate, is he's saying, watch out. The exact same thing happened in 2008. The first big bank went under. And honestly, goodbye Silicon Valley. If they had any brains, that would be the smart thing to do is crash it so hard, throw your hands up, make a big publicity of it that the government has to come in and save you. But he's saying here, this is exactly what happened in 2008. They went out and they saved the first bank, went around, told everybody, don't worry, this time's different. Remember, we caught the shark. The beaches are open. And then, bada bing, bada boom, the more kept. Now let me go back up here because this is the important part. Remember right here where he says the Fed suddenly cared about moral hazard for about 48 hours, but then suddenly it was, wait, what the heck is AIG Financial? What that guy is saying there, that is the domino. He's saying that they saved one bank, things were fine for a short time. Then a couple weeks or months later, um, Lehman Brothers failed. And right when they were about to say, tisk, tisk, bad, 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 we warned you guys, right then, another group, another investment firm, insurance firm called AIG said, oops, we're also bankrupt. And at that point, the government had to come clean and say, all right, fine, let's just bail everybody out. We can't afford to let all of these go under. So, what I'm doing, what I'm thinking in my own, is I don't think it's a bad idea if you want to have a little bit of gold or silver on hand. Just put yourself in the shoes of those bank clients that we saw just a minute ago on that Carl Icahn interview. Excuse me, they were all waiting in line. They're still waiting in line. They can't get their money. Might not be a bad idea to have a little bit of cash or silver gold on hand. And then also, when it comes to your stock market stuff, and this is what I've been telling all of our investment clients since January, is I am in no rush to take risk. I am in no rush to get aggressive. I am in no rush to speculate. Right now, we are earning a cool almost 5% annual interest on U.S. Treasuries risk free. So right now we've got about 50% of our accounts, 50% of the balance of our investors in the short term U.S. Treasuries. Again, risk free, 5%, not bad. And so that's it. That's what I got for you guys right now. I hope that this was informative. I hope you enjoyed this. I hope that it was. Let me see real quick. Let me go back to the comments. Molly says, how many so far? Two. No, Molly. So far, three. Right now, we have Silvergate Bank in San Diego, Silicon Valley Bank in San Francisco, and Southern Signature Bank of New York. And that is the first three that have come out right now. They're the, everybody thought that there were just two. The third one was last night, Sunday evening, and that's when I said I had actually bet against them. I saw this coming, and I had put a big sale against them in, and unfortunately the Fed froze the entire bank. So I guess I lost my money because like the stock. Let me show you. The stock isn't even trading. Let me go back. SBNY. So you can see here how it shows 00. That is because okay. You see here how uh, there's no information for today. It stops at March 10th. That's Friday, and that's why they have frozen. They have frozen that. So um, if we go back, okay, so back to so I hope that helps you answer that question you had there, Molly. And then Jody says that's what I've heard. Okay, yeah, Jody, yes, no, there were three banks so far. But again, if we go back to this is just today. Let's see how did FRC. Let's look real quick. How did FRC finish? All right, so they finished the day down 61%. They actually came back. They grew up about 10% over the day, but still. Let's see here. How did WAL finish? That was the other big one that got hit majorly. So they finished the day down 47%. Now, like if you look at that chart, it's like, hey, it's going up, right? No, don't be tricked. Do not be fooled. Um, so anyhow, that's about the situation right there. Let me just go back to the comments here and make sure all is good. Yeah, okay. So you guys, that's all I got for you right now. Feel free to continue commenting. I will keep commenting with you later. But yeah, you guys, you got a phone number, you got my email. Reach out anytime. We're here for you. I believe it's this Thursday. Yes, in 4 days, or really 3 days, 3 days from now, the Federal Reserve is coming out to tell us if they're going to raise interest rates again. And last week, if you remember, last week was not a great week because the Federal Reserve said last week, hey, look, don't call our bluff. We're raising rates indefinitely to get this inflation thing under control. Considering rates being lifted so high so quickly is what caused this bank crash. I wouldn't be surprised if he just says we're not going to. However, we will do a live stream I think on Thursday also to go over this again. So anyhow, that's all I've got for you guys right now. I'm going to end the stream. Email me, text me, DM me, whatever, and we will